Okay, I think I'm live. Welcome everyone. Sunday. I'm so happy that you've come out on a Sunday and want to hear about some pricing mistakes in the equine world and I guess in any world is kind of where do we see those four pricing mistakes. So I'm going to give it about 30 seconds. Just check some lighting here so maybe you can see me a bit better and get going. Okay, Alana, you're there. That's awesome. Alana, can you just tell me, or Jessica, just down below, can you just make a comment and just let me know you can hear me, see me well, and we can get going? I'm always a Zoom person, not a Facebook Live, so just want to make sure with someone. Jess, are you able to let me know? Can you hear me? Welcome Amber, welcome Liz. Good to see everyone. Again, I just need someone to tell me that they can see me, can hear me, and we're good to go. Hey Juanita, welcome, good to see you here. I'm not getting it if you are, so Jess, can you just shoot me a text and let me know that you can hear? And we'll get started. I'm super excited for today's topic. I love talking about money when it comes to equine entrepreneurs. And it's just such a passion of mine because, I talk a lot about burnout, talk a lot about stewarding our horses, all of those pieces. But it really comes down to pricing. And I think as people that maybe haven't been self-employed before, oh, I can see Jess said she's commenting. Okay, I cannot see the comments, and I don't know why. I guess it's because I don't Facebook Live normally. So for some reason, I can't see your comments. So I'm going to go ahead, start talking, and just get going because I don't want to waste your time. So thanks for being here. And just because I can't see your comments live doesn't mean that I'm not going to see your comments later. I'm definitely going to go back. I will respond to any questions that I can't see. Jess is there, so I think she's going to do the same as well. And just know that when you step up, when you're the bold ones, you showed up live, right? When you show up live, you put, oh, there, Juanita, I can see you're typing there. So Juanita, you're my gal, I can see it. When you show up live, fortune favors the bold and fortune favors the brave. That's the way business works. That's a little secret I'm going to give you. And so when you show up live, you put yourself on the line, you put your business on the line, and you say, you know what? I'm here, I'm serious, I'm ready to build. And that's where life rewards you for that. So thrilled to have you here. Comment throughout. I'm going to ask some questions, and as I do, throw in your emojis, throw in your comments, and I hope you take a lot out of this. So I'm only going to go for about 20 minutes max here, and this is really something I literally threw together this morning based on what are those pricing mistakes that I see with any entrepreneurs, but where do I really see them with equine entrepreneurs? Okay, so here's the thing, right off the bat, I see it a lot with equine entrepreneurs, and it's like this bleeding heart of trying to help and knowing what our herd can do and wanting to make sure that everybody can experience it. Okay, and so here's the thing, right off the bat, if you undervalue what you do, how can you expect the world to do any less? Okay, so if you undervalue what you do, how can you expect the world to do any less? Okay, and so there's a question that most entrepreneurs, equine entrepreneurs, say that they get nervous. It makes them squirm. It's how much do you charge? Okay, and so that won't be for everyone, but that piece of how much do you charge, if it makes you squirm, you're in the right place. Okay, if it doesn't, there's going to be something else that makes you in the right place. But from that place, if it makes you squirm, if you start justifying, and this is a gut check for yourself or throw it in there. Do you ever feel the need, you say your price and you start to justify right away why you charge that? Okay. Most entrepreneurs that have never been an entrepreneur, when you're working for someone else, they set the price. You don't have to have awkward pricing conversations, right? And there is kind of a benefit in that. So maybe you're being paid $30 an hour, but they're charging you out at $100. You don't have to own that place of, justifying to the client, to the end end user why you charge that. And so many equine entrepreneurs will say to me, couldn't someone else just set the price for me? Couldn't they just tell me what the value is? Have any of you felt that before? And this is about authenticity, right? Have you ever felt that? I just want somebody else to set the price. Well, I'm going to tell you here, if you came on hoping that I was going to set the price for you, it's not going to happen, okay? Because there's money beliefs, there's all these other beliefs that come in, but I'm hopefully going to empower you to be able to set your own price, okay? Fiona, awesome. Yeah, you felt that. Again, fortune favors the bold and brave, and we need to be bold and brave enough to look inside ourselves to say what's really holding us back. So I promised you 4 pricing mistakes that equine entrepreneurs make. Grab your pen, grab your paper. Let's make the most out of this. Number 1, I call it the throw the lasso. So picture yourself, you go to the mall or you go to your the school or wherever you would go. Okay, and you wind up and you got your lasso going and you toss it out and the loop spreads really, really big. Okay. Inside that, you decide, I'm going to ask all these people what I should charge. And so you're going through to all these different people and you're saying, hey, I do horse facilitated development, I do therapeutic riding, I do EAL, I do para, and this is our feature benefits. What do you think I should charge? Okay, so here's the thing. Right off the bat, I really have to warn you on that. Okay, the reason being, we all have limiting money beliefs. Okay, we all have money beliefs. Some support us and some don't. You think back to when you grew up, what your parents talked about money, all those pieces, they became a part of who we are. They became a part of everyone in that lasso, who they are. So a really dangerous place to ask them, hey, what do you think I should charge? Okay. And so who's in that lasso? It could be parents. It could be siblings. It could be accountants, lawyers, all sorts of people are in that lasso. And we're asking them through their eyes of worth and value. But here's the thing. We all have different levels of worth and value. Okay. And what something's worth to us and what is value. Yeah, Joanne, everyone has a perception. Absolutely. Okay. But I will admit, of course I threw my lasso out and I asked a bunch of people because that made sense to me. So did anybody else do that? Throw out their lasso and ask everybody kind of in the world that made sense what they should charge. And I'd love the boldness if anybody is willing to say, yeah, I did that. Okay. And so my question is, are they in your target market? Okay. Are those people in your target market? Because if they're not, does it make sense to ask them? So to ask an accountant, what should I charge? Is your accountant your target market? Are they, Michelle, I appreciate you saying yes. Your accountant, are they looking for what you have to offer at any point? Are they in your zone of genius? You hear me talk about this, and I promised, I put it up, do we want to talk pricing or zone of genius? Here's the little tip. They're both go hand in hand. And so are those people in your zone of genius? Okay. Because if they're not, who gives a rip what they think you should charge? Okay. Hey, Sandy, nice to see you here. The second thing is if you say, yeah, they are in my zone of genius, they are my target market. Okay. You're getting closer, but here's the thing. Are they currently in the market for what you have to offer currently? So think about who you may be asking for pricing advice. Are they currently in the market in your zone of genius for what you have to offer? So let's talk about eggs, because that's the big thing right now. Eggs are expensive, apparently. Okay. So I'm not in the market for eggs because on our ranch, we have chickens. Okay. And so I could go to the store and see, holy smackaroony, eggs are now, for nice free range eggs where I live, are $8.99. Okay. So back to worth and value, I'm going, oh my God, $8.99 for a dozen eggs. Okay. That's outrageous. Like, that's so expensive. Okay. Because I have my own eggs. Let's say you're a vegetarian, not a vegan, a vegetarian. And maybe you're getting most of your protein from eggs. And you really believe in stewarding animals and free range, and you want to make sure you're buying the best eggs. So you go in and you say $8.99 free range. And I'm not going to get into the argument about free range, but and they think, oh, this would feed me because I don't buy meat for 4 days. That's my protein. Okay, what a cheap way. I'm supporting farmers. I feel really good. What a smoking deal. I'd pay double. Okay, does that make sense? Worth and value are two different things if you're in the market to purchase. Okay, are the people you're asking currently in the market to purchase what you do? Look at real estate. Real estate a year ago was so hot in British Columbia. If you were in the market to purchase, the seller could ask anything they want. So you get into the market, you realize they can ask anything they want. Price all of a sudden was way up here because the value was moving into the house. Okay. A year later, somebody who wasn't in that market enters now and says, oh my gosh, prices might seem high because I can look at so many things, there's so many options. And even though the price has probably come down a lot from the peak, they're currently in the market. And so they're setting the price. So does that make a little bit of help? You know, it's kind of as far as that goes. And again, feel free to ask questions here. So the next thing in your lasso, this is super typical. And if you don't say that you did it, I don't believe you. Okay? Competitors and peers. Okay, so you start to research what's your competitors and what's your peers charging, okay, in your lasso. The neighboring riding barn is charging $40 to do riding lessons, and I'm 5 times that, okay? Again, this is just an example. Here, very true, the neighboring barn was charging $35, and they're not a barn, they're a beautiful resort. They have a arena, covered arena. They do the Chris Irwin thing, and they do, yeah, Joanne, I appreciate you saying that you did that. And so I could easily sit there and say they're charging $35 and they're Chris Irwin instructors, but it's riding lessons, okay? We get paid on results. We don't get paid on time. We get paid on results. The promise of results and the promise of riding a horse are 2 very different outcomes. Okay, and so I empower each of you to realize, and even if you're a riding instructor that is now switching gears into a horse facilitated development, okay, what you bring in tangible results cannot be compared. And I'm not knocking riding. I think riding lessons are great. It's not what we do. Okay, and so peers on experience. How many of you set your prices based on what the peers that have more experience, they've been in longer than you, how many of you are basing your rates on that? Okay. What you did in the past adds up to your worth and your value today. Okay. I'm going to say it again. Look at your past. Grab your pen, write it down. What have you done in your past? Maybe seemingly totally unrelated to what we're talking about today and what we're doing today, that somehow adds to what we do today. And Amber used to. Yeah. Way to be bold. Way to be honest on that. So I started in horse facilitated development 2 years ago, okay? And I could have easily said, I did volunteer with therapeutic riding prior to that. I've had horses my whole life, but I never worked in trauma. I never worked with PTSD. I never worked with the safe house. I never worked in any of those high-risk situations, the farthest thing from it. So I had to look at my past and say, I've spent my entire world working with people, okay? And helping people transform to their best self. It looked like a lot of different things, but that's what I could bring to the table. So what can you bring to the table? Okay, what are your experiences? I love Joanne saying, yeah, you've got all of those past experiences. You need to bring them into your pricing, okay? The other thing about putting yourself up against somebody who's been in the business a long time doesn't mean they're good at it. And I hate to be really bold and blunt about that, but just because someone does something doesn't mean they're good at it, okay? Think about other professionals that you have had phenomenal results with. Accountants, lawyers, teachers, and think about ones that maybe had been it forever, and you know, every dog has its day, and they were beyond that, you know, by a decade or 2, right? I always say you can easily be 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on the banana peel because you've been doing it for too long. We get complacent, okay? And so stop in your lasso, stop asking friends, family, people that are not in your zone of genius, people that are not in the market. They don't know what the price of eggs are these days. Competitors that do something different, okay? We're in the mental health field. We really, really are. And that's a different thing than teaching someone how to ride a horse. Nothing wrong with teaching someone how to ride a horse. If that's your zone of genius, I suggest you get on and hold on tight. So stop comparing about other people who maybe have been in longer. And time versus results. Some people say, well, I charge X amount of dollars and I'm going to give you 3 hours of my time. And I say, I'm going to charge X amount of dollars and I'm going to give you 60 minutes. Why? Confused minds can't make a decision, number 1. Number 2, I have looked at the results that we pull from our herd. And I'm not saying that you do the same thing. I'm saying look at your time versus results. In our herd, 60 minutes is the magic number. When we went to 90 minutes, or longer in a one-on-one session, we peaked and came down after 60 minutes. Okay, so I will charge the same that I was going to do for 90 minutes in 60 minutes because I know that's where the results come for my herd and our clients. Okay, so it's looking at your business and knowing the same thing. For healers in this place, when I say healers, I'm talking about, and it's going to be a big majority of us, and I'm saying us, people that want to help other people. Okay, and I'm going to talk about this more as we go forward. I'm really speaking a lot to you because it's this place of guarding yourself in that, because you can easily look and say, well, this other person does Reiki with horses and their price is just way less than mine is. Okay, there's no relevance between what somebody else charges and what you do. Okay, don't allow your self-worth to be someone else's net worth. I'll say it again. Don't allow your self-worth to be someone else's net worth. We have money beliefs from all over this world that we pack with us every day. When we throw out the lasso, we open ourselves up to all of those people's money beliefs. Okay? So number one, don't throw the lasso. Okay? It's nuts. All right. Number two, and again, I'll try to answer any feedback. It's not about right or wrong. This is about effective or ineffective to who you want to be and where you want to go. Okay? Number two, and I'll put my hand up right away. This is something I think of every time I come out with something new in my life. Okay? Undercharging, over-delivering. There are 8 money archetypes in the world. There's 8 archetypes of people in the world, and we all fall into all of them. But we really have our top 2 and 3. Okay? And from that place, we have to, it's like the devil you know. You got to know that piece that comes up at you. And maybe it's an undercharge. Maybe it's an over-deliver. It could be so many different things. Maybe it's pushing yourself to burnout. What is it? Because if you don't see it now, it's really, really hard to take care of it later. So here's the thing. Do you, and I'd like to hear it on here, and if it's a no, just put a no, but do you find it hard to accept money from clients? And if you do, is the first feeling that you better start figuring out how to deliver, like over deliver. You start adding, well, we better add this stuff to what we're going to do. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I want to know, take the time, the bold are the people that put their hands up and contribute and talk. So I'd like to know, do you find it hard to take money, and do you find yourself over delivering? And if it's a no, awesome. If it's a yes, if it's a maybe, I'm going to give you 1 minute here to throw it into the chat. Yeah, Jess. So it's undercharge, over deliver. So yeah, Juanita, I appreciate your authenticity there. Sandy, you spent some time with me. Yeah, I'm always on this. Michelle, that's your archetype. Yeah, yes, you got to know it, right? Lana, over delivering. Yeah, you can definitely overcharge or like charge well, but still feel like, now I got to over deliver. Fiona, getting much, much better, but you still over deliver. Again, love the authenticity. Yeah, tricks. Yes. And so this doesn't have to be yes for everyone. It's just where I see the common pieces, pricing pieces. So here's the thing, add it up. So when you look at what you do, whether it's a special program, whether it's a day, I encourage you to take a moment and add up, what does a one-on-one session actually cost you? If you travel and take your herd with you, what does that actually cost you? If you do a group session, what does it actually cost you? I'm not saying that's what you're going to charge, but it's really, really valuable to know your numbers and to know what did it hard cost me? But what about paying myself? What about the time I was away from my family, even if it's out with your herd, okay? And even if they're at work, right? What else could you do to be contributing and being part of the family unit if you weren't in that one-on-one? Okay, so all of those pieces, what does it actually cost you? But also, how much do I need to pay myself out of this to hold my self-worth high where it needs to be to keep myself out of burnout? And how much do I need to pay my herd? Okay, our herd are professionals at what they do. No, we're not therapists, but our horses provide absolutely incredible therapy. That's a place to stand behind, to realize we are contributors. Our horses are gurus. We don't have to be the guru, but they are. How much do we pay our herd when they go out to a session? And you may think, oh my goodness, I've never heard that. Okay. Guess what? Your herd is your business. Okay. And so we want to be able to steward them at the highest possible level, but we don't know what the highest possible level is. Okay. So what do professionals get paid? Yeah, I appreciate that, Amber. How much time do you spend on admin and marketing, or how much do you pay somebody else, because it's not your zone of genius, for your admin and marketing? Okay. Back to stewarding your horses. I had the vet come out the other day. I live in the middle of nowhere. Okay. So when the vet's coming, it's like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Their value in my book is so high. I don't give a rip. Our horses work and they get paid, and we can take care of them. My point is, do you want to pay for the cheapest vet, or do you want to pay for somebody that you feel delivers exactly on their what's the word, on what they say they'll do? That's not the right word, but yeah. And so I push you to really look at what does it actually cost you per session to do a one-on-one, to do a group, all those pieces. Value of the horses and your credentials and results. Absolutely. Results, that is so huge. And I think it's coming up. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But keep your self-worth really high. Don't allow somebody else's net worth to make a decision on where your self-worth is. Okay? So number one, don't throw the last sou. Not worth it. Number two, undercharging, over-delivering. Here's the thing about over-delivering. So some of you said, I don't think I undercharge, but I definitely over-deliver. A confused mind cannot make a decision. Okay? Scientifically, I'm not talking subconscious. I'm talking about your conscious mind. This is the reason, and again, I want you to throw it in the chat. Have any of you ever been driving your truck, down the road, okay? So you're driving, and you're looking for an address because you're meeting somebody, you're going to buy a halter off them, and it's at their house. It's off Marketplace, okay? So you're driving down the road, and you're looking for 7228 something, okay? You've never been in this area. So you're driving, music's on, maybe you have somebody in the back, maybe not. It's a bit foggy, it's icy, so you're a bit concerned about that. You come up to a stop sign, so you've got a stop sign, you've got noises, you've got where you're going, you've got ice, and you've got music, okay? Then you go through the stop sign, and they said just after the stop sign, you're gonna see it on your left. So you're looking out to the left, and you're trying to remember the number. What do you do first? You turn down the music, okay? And I'd love to know, do you guys know what I'm talking about here? So you turn down the music, and somebody will say, why did you turn down the music? To look for the address on the house. Why? Because the conscious mind can only process 3 to 5 things at once. And so you're driving, you have noise, the music, you have an address you don't know, you have a stop sign, you have icy roads, and what do? You say, I can't do this because my conscious mind cannot do it. Yeah, tricks, I love that. And Fiona, yeah, you got to turn the music down to see better, right? And everybody questions you on that. It's a real thing, so now you know, it's a real thing. When you bring people into your courses, when you bring people into your groups, when you bring people to a one-on-one, and maybe it's too long, again, you've gone to that 2-hour point, but you know your magic zone is at 90 minutes, right? Or you have them out for a weekend and you say, for $700, I'm gonna let you come for the weekend, and I'm gonna give you gift bags, I'm gonna give you food, we're gonna have sessions with the horses all day long, we're gonna get a journal, you're gonna go home, you're gonna work on that, you're gonna come back in the morning, we're gonna work on that, and there's no downtime. Okay, what happens is we rip our clients off the results that are there. So when we over deliver, that confused mind can't make a decision. And what happens is that they back out, they go into freeze mode, and they no longer can build or transform in the way they came to us. And so oftentimes putting that same thing on and saying, I'm not going to charge 5 or 6 or whatever I said, I'm going to charge 3,000 for the weekend, and I'm going to hold myself accountable to a very high level of tangible results, and I'm going to give them mornings with horses and afternoons to be in nature and write and journal or whatever. Again, I'm just giving ideas. It's that place of them being able to take a bite of the elephant, one bite at a time, or whatever that is. I think I said that wrong, but it's that place of tangible growth, tangible results, as opposed to feeling like, let's just give them the farm and they can't do anything with that. Okay, so I hope that makes a little bit of sense on that place of less is totally more. Okay, and so are you making profit? That's really, really big on undercharging, over delivering. Are you actually making a profit? Okay, and burn it. I'm going to tell you, if you're not paying yourself, if you're not paying your herd, if you're not really just holding yourself accountable to that place of tangible results and realizing that less and more, you're moving towards burnout. And the sad thing is, not only are you moving towards burnout, you're moving the people in your world towards burnout. Okay, and you don't have to answer this one out loud, but take a gut check. Is the people I live with in my household, are the friends in my world, are the people around me, this undercharging, over delivering, worn out, burnout place, are we pushing them towards that? Okay, oftentimes we have to see where the impact is on the people closest around us to realize where we need to look at our stuff. So number one, don't throw the lasso. Number two, undercharging, over-delivering, both, neither, one or the other. Take a really serious look at that, okay? Because burnout kills this business. And when we look at the impact that we make with humans, all of us, we can't have burnt out facilitators. Joanne, my biggest question is the address and population. Maybe just talk about that a bit more, and I can talk about where we are in our population. I'm not quite sure, but just a little more information I can answer that. And Amber, I appreciate, again, the authenticity and that vulnerability of that place of burnout last summer and fall, not worth it. Yeah, you're running a phenomenal 2 businesses out there in Ontario. Ontario, yeah. And and staff and all of those other pieces, and you're bringing some incredible transformation and shift to the world. But being able to say, that burnout summer, fall, going in that direction, where that would have gone. So I appreciate you sharing that for everybody else to learn from. So number 3, working for free or working too long. Hands up, throw your emoji or your words in there. How many of you, maybe it's a burnout thing, but how many of you have worked for free for too long? Or maybe you currently are. Okay. Joanne, I'll answer that in a moment. Just remind me, Jess, if I miss it. At some point, here's the thing, guys. Working for free, it's a self-worth piece. I'll talk about where the pieces that make sense to work for free, but it's a self-worth piece for sure. Joanne, yeah, you can admit that you've done it and you quit doing it. At some point, and you're the only person that can do it, need to decide that you're good enough. Okay. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Okay, you're a good enough facilitator. You have a good enough place. You have good enough horses that you work with. Nobody else is going to give you the gold star. When we were kids, you go to school, you keep waiting for that little gold star they put on your piece of paper. There is no more gold stars. You're the only person. You're the only person that can do that. Okay, so you need to make a decision, and I hope you make it today, that you're good enough. And what you do, the world is looking for. You have a zone of genius. You have a niche that only you can bring. And that's not this conversation, but I'm really clear on that. When you find that place and you start working from inspired action, you don't have to worry about clients. You don't have time to be working for free. Okay. So reasons to work for free. Is there reasons? You betcha, of course. If you're promoting, maybe you're having an open house at your place and you're going to work for free. Great. Have a call to action at the end so that those people can work with you. So many times it drives me crazy when I'm trying to sign up for something and I keep going through all the links to sign up and I can't just sign up or find out the cost. Okay. So you have a call to action. So they come out, they're doing an open house, they're coming for free, whatever that is. That's great. Have a way that they can work with you afterwards. Fiona, I decided early on to not give my horses and my work away for free. Undercharged early on, but getting better. Woohoo! It's, you lay the track and then you move the train forward and you lay the track and you move the train forward, right? So celebrate those wins. Good for you. So promoting, definitely. Getting experience. If you feel this is not a self-worth piece, I don't have the experience and I need to get it, that's great. Just watch the line of realizing. So I'm volunteering, you're going out to, somebody else, you're doing some studying, you're having people work for free, whatever that is. Totally cool. Know that nobody is going to ever deem you worthy. You need to make the decision, and I highly suggest you do it 1 or 2 steps before you think you're actually ready. Okay? Understand that the people coming to you, you only need to be a step in front of them. And that's actually the best place to be coaching from. Okay? Yeah, Joanne, such a good point. When it's granted for free, it's not something that people commit to. Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate, validate things we paid for. Okay. I've been given very expensive courses before to me for free. Will you do this? Will you rate it? Whatever it is. I never finished any of them. I'm going to be really honest. The ones that I put my money on the line and said, this is what I need. That's where I grew and was able to move forward. And number 3, and I think this is really, really important, is safety. Alexandra, yeah, value yourself, know your worth. Safety. And so safety for my horses is paramount. It's probably paramount above myself, so I need to move that. But this is where I'm talking about having people out and saying, come meet the herd. I don't do one-on-one sessions without someone coming out and meeting the herd first, okay? It's free. It's complimentary. Why? Number one, it's not number one. Number one is the steward of my horses. Not everybody is safe for my horses. Okay, that's number one. Number two, not everybody is safe for me. And number three, I am not everything to everyone. If you are not in my zone of genius, if you're not someone that I know, my herd and we can help you. We can, look at tangible results. We can move you forward. Then who am I to take your money in the first place? Okay. And it's pushing me to burnout. Okay. So huge is that you can push yourself to burnout when you're working with the wrong people. Okay. And so the safety pieces around that. But the number 4 piece about having them come out is we work in experiential transformation. Okay. And so I can sit and talk all day long to people about what our horses do, but I can allow them to come out and meet and become part of a herd. And that's where the experiential piece. And I'll tell you, I've never had someone come out to meet the herd in any financial level who has not signed up for sessions. And I don't even think I've had anybody sign up for less than 4 sessions. Okay. So it can really build your business. But if I continue to do that forever, you're not going to have a business. Okay. And so here's the thing is working in your zone of genius and working for free. And so there's times where people are going to ask you to do something for free. And so I highly suggest you look at, does it promote my business? Am I getting experience? And is it safe if you're even thinking about doing it? Okay. But understand that have a cap on that. You could say, because people feel guilty sometimes. You could say, I've come to the end of our pro bono work for the year. Feel free to touch base with us again next January, right? You don't have to, we get paid on results. So if you've already delivered them, you don't have to do them again. And so, sorry, everybody had a call coming in and I didn't know if it was going to cut off my voice. And so I'll give you an example. I work here locally with the social services, community services, and they honestly, I'll be honest, they probably bring in $60,000 a year easily in just through them. And so sometimes we have this feel of like, ooh, they're a good client. I need to give something away for free. So they contacted me and they wanted me to bring my herd to town and set up in a parking lot. Oh, no, pardon, it was probably a field. But anyway, set up, and they were going to invite people from town and talk about the therapeutic value of horses, okay, of animals. So on the surface, it was like, oh, that is my ideal client. And, everybody in town is going to go. And my ego could easily get in there and say, oh, I'm going to know everybody. The paper will probably come out and we'll get some promo, right? On the surface, it looked great. And then there's the piece of I owe them because they bring a lot of clientele through, right? But then I started to think about it. Okay, so they want me to come, which means loading up the herd, loading up a round pen, going to town, having 2 wranglers, unloading, setting up a round pen, having horses, doing a talk, allowing people to come in, go home, setting up all of these things that we do, right? And then I said, so who am I going to be speaking to? Children under the age of 8. Not my zone of genius, not my lane, okay? And so, again, so now I'm going, okay, so this is not my clientele. And so my question is it worthwhile? That's the point of my story. And so I didn't do it. And I had these ideas of like, oh, I shoulding on myself. But here's the thing. Number 1, it was not my ideal client. Number 2, it would have been a lot on my herd. Number 3, they then said, well, we're going to bring out goats maybe the next day. Very different understanding of what we do when we're going to bring out goats. They have a therapeutic value, but it's not what we do, okay? But the biggest piece I really am trying to relay to you is that you get paid on results. When I have a group that has spent a huge amount of money or a small amount of money, it doesn't matter. They already paid me and I already gave them the results, okay? And so my question to you when you're being asked for free things, is it worthwhile? And what's the energetic trade-off and how does that feel for you? And so for me, we backed out, no big deal. Just to tell them, you know what, we're kind of full on what we've done and it's just not the market that we are working in, okay? So I hope that helps a bit. So number 1, don't throw the lasso. Number 2, undercharging, over-delivering. Number 3, working too long for free, okay? It's all about self-worth. And number 4 is you charge what? Ouch, right? And so what am I saying about that? Hands up, do you have that fear when you're talking to someone and you know it's getting to that place and it's like they're going to ask you what you charge and then you're going to say something and then they're going to come back and be like, whoa, that is way too much. Any of you? And again, I'm going to take a moment and have a drink of water here. But any of you have that fear of somebody asking you what you charge and that their feedback is it's too much? Anyone? Alexandra, love it. Yeah, you gotta know your devil, right? It's the devil you know. Michelle, yeah, beautiful. Anybody else? And if you don't, again, kudos to you. This is all money beliefs that we're all working on. Alana, not so much anymore. Fantastic. Sandy, yes. Juanita, get it lots. Yeah, you've had it happen a lot. Great. Amber, Fiona, it's scary. So you go ahead and post the prices ahead. What a great workaround, Fiona. I love that. If this is a huge fear for you, just put it out there. Let people know what you do and allow them to buy your services. So often we don't do that. Tricks, not now, but planning to change things. And Joanne, yes, you have, and change happens. And so here's the thing. You don't fit into everybody's world. I'm going to be really honest, that fear of that person. And so think of it in your mind, if it's happened before or who you're thinking, oh my God, this person would say that. Okay. And picture them saying that. It's so crazy how we allow that to go against who we are and feel like, Jim from the restaurant in town thinks I charge too much. Is Jim your ideal client? And he might be. I'll talk about that in a moment. But here's the thing. We allow it to knock us down. We allow it to make us play small and hold us back from inspiring all those other people because one person or two or a small handful thought you charged too much. Are they in the market right now for what you do? And are they craving tangible results? If the answer is no, it's got to be off your plate, okay? But here's the thing. You don't fit into everybody's world, okay? I don't fit into everybody's world. If anything, you want to have a niche that's an inch wide and a mile deep. You know who you work with. These are the people that I can help with inspired action and tangible change. And if they're out here, they're not your peeps. So who cares what they say? I understand it's easier said than done. Okay. 1 inch wide, a mile deep. Who are your peeps? You don't fit into everybody's world. But what about when you do? What about when it's, and I can hear you say, but Tamara, they're my perfect client. Or they need me. We can help them. They need me. Who's talking here? Is it you or your ego? This idea of they need you, like there's nobody else who can help them, is your ego talking, okay? And so that's a good gut check all the time to say, like, if you're saying they need me, it's one thing to say, it's too bad because what we offer, I think, could really help them. That's different than they need me, okay? But what I also find is that if you show up, you bring value, what, your niche, how what you do and what your herd does can help the world and transform the world, and you have an authentic conversation with them. If they're your ideal 1 inch mile deep, if they're your niche, your zone of genius clients, you know what you're going to hear them say? It's just out of the budget right now, Tamara. It's just out of the budget right now. Tricks, do you do payment plans? Joanne, will you be offering that again next month? They see the value. They're your niche client. You're just out of their budget right now. Okay. Can you see how sometimes just that little mind shift can really move you? Because we can allow ourselves to hold ourselves back because of not being either someone's ideal client or they're the ideal client. And it's just timing. It's just not right now. So timing is super, super important. Alex, can people say they charge? We are 100. Oh, I just wondered on it. We are. Oh, can people on the call? Yeah, they could. I think it goes back to that last Sue idea of be careful taking on other people's money beliefs. Okay. Again, you guys can do whatever you want. Absolutely. That's what the round pen is for you guys to decide. Just really gut check yourself if it's effective or ineffective. Because I can't find anybody that charges what I charge. And so if I was to be concerned about that, I would lower my rates. And with that, do you lower your service? Like, what are we taking back? As opposed to, again, what results do you provide for your clients? And where do you comfortably feel with that? So I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But back to afford. Okay, so people say, I can't afford. Have any of you, and again, love to hear it in the chat, have any of you ever talked to someone, you think they're the ideal client, I love what you do, Alex, I love what you do, but I can't afford it right now. And then you see them, and it's a judgy piece of us, but you see them out driving a fancy car. Maybe you see them out at a restaurant or buying a new purse. I don't know, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what it is. And we say, so you can't afford to come transform your life, but you can afford to go for dinner, buy a purse, get a new horse, like whatever it is, right? Anybody ever, kind of hit that place? Let's be honest, right? Has it ever happened? Maybe in this or something else where you're thinking they said they couldn't afford it, but they're doing something else. Here's the thing about affordability. Affordability, the word afford, is subjective. Okay. And so let's talk about horses. Jess, my business partner who's on here, Alex, I appreciate you agreeing with that. And not everybody will, right? But it happens, right? Yeah, Juanita, they're paying more for a haircut. Here's our judgy self, and we all do it. I'm not pointing anybody else, right? Fiona, yeah, you've seen and heard that. Joanne, Amber, exactly. And so afford is subjective. So let's talk about horses. My business partner, Jess, has a phenomenal program in Alberta. It's called the Project Pen. She buys at-risk horses from the meat buyer out of the project pen or out of the meat pen. And she works with them with at-risk youth, mostly. And I'm not going to say it like she can because this is her zone, okay? And they have the project pen. And the project pen rehabilitates horses, grows at-risk youth into incredible humans. The end result for horse and human is phenomenal. Phenomenally trained horses, phenomenally grown people. But in her world, a horse that she purchases is probably $500 or $1,000. I mean, prices change right now, right? There's other of you maybe listening who say, like, I would never buy a horse under $5,000. I'm just throwing numbers up, $5,000, because they're not sound, they're cheap, they're not broke, they're not safe, whatever. Again, your world is subjective to you. Great. There's other people who say, like, I'd never touch a horse that's not worth $25,000. And again, so we're just talking about horses, okay? I'm a car person. And so I look at a handbag and I say, I can't imagine spending like $100 on a handbag. Okay. There's other people saying, like, I can't imagine walking around with a handbag that wasn't worth 10 grand. Okay. Cars. Some people say, I don't even want to own a car. They're just expensive. Okay. I have a hot rod. I love vehicles. I wouldn't spend, like, to me, $50 is expensive on a purse. But I've got a race car and a hot rod, and, I love cars. And so again, what we can afford is subjective, okay? Cheap is relative, okay? And so this piece of, affordability, cheapness, this is all just beliefs. And so you're saying to me, okay, so you're saying don't throw the lasso, right? Find your own pricing. You're saying don't work for free for too long. We're saying don't undercharge and overdeliver. And you charge what, right? This side. So how am I supposed to price? You're all waiting for like the big piece at the end. Here's the thing. People just pick prices. So when you're finding out from other facilitators, or you're asking your godparents, or you're, looking online, all of those people made it up. That's the truth. In business, people make up pricing. Okay. And eventually the made up pricing in the middle becomes the standard. We're not allowed to say that in the competition bureau world, but it becomes the standard. But guess what? It was made up in the first place. So then there's the people who say, I'm all about value and this is where I sit. And there's other people who say, I have a cheap mentality and this is where I sit. And again, all of these overpriced cheap, these are just words that everybody puts a different vision to. And so how are you going to pick your price? Pick a price that feels great for you, based on the value and expectations you hold yourself up at and deliver. What do I mean by that? When you are not being paid enough, it's really hard to go out day after day after day, week after week after week, in rain, snow, hot, whatever's going on for you, and hold yourself to that high accountability level when you're not making it, when you're not working in your zone of genius, when you're not being paid what you're worth. Okay? And so everybody's making it up anyways. Pick a price, and this is not, and I'll come back to Joanne asked about this. Again, get out of the fact, I live in a town of 900 people, okay? 900 people, and they have to drive over half an hour to get to us, at a minimum from where we are if the closest town came, okay? We're charging 5 times more than the riding barn in town that has a nice over arena, all of the fancy stuff that is 2 minutes from town. Okay, we've been full since we first opened up. 3 weeks in, we've been full, and we have always at least a 3-week waiting list. Why? Because we know what our tangible results look like, and the results have spoken for themselves, and that grows its own. And so, don't worry about your surroundings and how many people are there. We've had people from all over the world come to our little facility, and the closest airport is 3 hours away. We have facilitators coming from all over Canada to our facility in the middle of nowhere. Okay, provide the results so people show up. And so Yeah, I'll tell that story in a sec, Jess. But the last is, because I can go on and on. So how are you going to do it? Think right now. Take a moment right now. You don't have to share it out loud. You can. I don't care. What price feels good and what time works for you guys? Like I said, I do 60-minute sessions because I know we've hit the magic point before then, statistically, and by 90, everybody's at confused mind. They don't make decisions, okay? So what's the piece that feels good for you? And the question that comes up when I talk about this stuff is, can you overprice? Can you overcharge? You betcha, of course you can. What do I mean by that? If you're not delivering the results, then of course you can overcharge. If it energetically doesn't feel right for you, you can definitely overcharge. And here's the thing, you're probably not even going to have the opportunity to overcharge because energetically it doesn't feel right. You go to say the word and you know that it's not in alignment for where you are right now. Okay, that's not experience, that's not time, it's who you are and where you are right now in your growth journey, which is why we coach business horses mindset. Okay, mindset is such a huge key to being worth your value, looking at your value. And so take a moment and, honestly, it's the first thing that comes to you. It's not sitting and going forever. What's 60 minutes one-on-one session worth to you? What's a day rate worth to you? And instinctually, I think that's the word, you're going to know in this range. Yes, it's important to know your numbers behind. Are you being paid at that? Is your herd being paid at that? But know that everybody is making it up, okay? The amount that everybody is charging, they're making it up. And they may be making it up based on what they see from somebody else, but they're making it up, okay? Juanita, the longer sessions is too much attention spans. Yeah, and again, I'm not going to say the 60 minutes is the time. That's the time for us. When I look at results, we get the results in 60 minutes. When we go to 90, we confuse them. They leave. They do not come back with tangible results. That's where we are. That's not everybody. Okay? So I'm just going to leave you with this thought. So number one, if you're throwing the lasso, are you asking people that are actually your zone of genius, 1 inch by a mile deep, your zone, this is my niche. Are you asking people you want to work with? And are they ready and in the market to buy right now? Because if they're not, what they say and what they do has just absolutely no bearing on your pricing. Okay? Stop looking to other people who, quote, do what you do, because I guarantee what you do when you nail it down is so much different and bigger and more expanded than anybody else does in your own way. Okay? And so you can't dig into what they are. You can only dig into what you are and what you provide. Okay? So number one, stop throwing the lasso. Number two, if it's undercharging, really look at the effects of burnout. And if it's over-delivering, understand you're actually doing nothing for the end user. Confused minds don't make decisions. You're holding them back. Okay? Joanne, some will, and I would say some will, some won't. So what next? There's a lot of people in this world. And you might say, again, my population's 1,000. I had the FEI, which is the largest equine federation in the world, fly their film producers over to do a documentary on our facility. Our facility is in the middle of nowhere. We don't have an arena. We don't want an arena. We don't have anything covered. We're in the elements, which is why we don't want one, because we work with that. Largest equine federation in the world came of anywhere they could have gone to do a documentary on horse-facilitated therapy, and they chose to do it here. Why? Because we hold ourselves very highly accountable to results, and allowed that to speak for itself. When we expect and hold the outcome so hard, this is what we need, this is what it has to be, we choke hold the opportunities that could come to us. I thought it was a joke. That's the honest truth. I didn't even get back to them right away because I'm like, I don't have time for jokes, And so I don't tell you that to impress you. I tell you that to impress upon you. There are people all over the world looking for what you have to do. And that one documentary has taken us worldwide in a place that none of you, I guarantee, have ever heard of. So undercharging, over-delivering, and not serving anybody. Working for free for too long. I'm an advocate in the right situation for doing it. Understand no one's giving you the gold star. It's never coming from anybody else. You've got to find it in yourself and say, I'm worthy enough. It's time to go change the world. And that's what we're doing in the Round Pen, right? How do we elevate what we do so more people know? And you charge what? That's that piece of having fun with it. If you need to put it on your website because you don't want to have the conversation, I think Fiona said that, throw it on your website. But get comfortable in that place of, I provide phenomenal value and results for what we charge. And this is my niche, 1 inch wide, mile long, and this is where we're going. So, I can stay on a moment longer. I don't know if there's any other questions, but I hope it helped. And so the last thing I said for the people live, and all I want you to do if you want the bonus is just to comment live bonus at the bottom. What I have, and I've alluded to it, talked about it a lot. We are all, there's 8 different archetypes in the world, and we can call it money archetypes, we can call it business archetypes, we can call it relation archetypes. It's who we are at a base level. And what's really, really fun is that when we find that place, we all own it. And so I'm a ruler, maverick, nurturer. You don't know what that means, but the point is that it's like you stay with your group and you're like, I love it. These are my strengths. But you also need to know your weaknesses. And I'm not saying to play on them so that when they come up, for instance, I'm an over-deliverer, and that's part of my archetype. And it's in there. I can create. I love to create, but I can move myself to burnout working too hard with those. And so it's a really simple quiz. And at the end, you're going to get your top archetypes. And if you send me a message, I'm going to actually send you your full archetype, which is the way I have built my entire business. This is the way I've built every business in my world. And that's when I keep talking about zone of genius, 1 inch wide by a mile deep. That's where it comes from, because you find that place of who you authentically are. And from that place, you're so far from burnout because you have checks and balances. You know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You work on your strengths. You're very aware of those weaknesses. And all of a sudden you're building a business where other people say, how did you build that so quickly? You work within your zone of genius. And so if you want that, simply type in live bonus. What I'm going to do is I'll send it to you privately. Log in, take the quiz. It's going to give you your top 3 archetypes, and then let me know and I will send them actually to you. And if you want to have a chat of how you put that into play, let me know. Hook me up and we'll, or hit me up and we'll do that. So I hope this has been helpful. I've tried to answer the questions that have come up as I've seen them. I can spend another minute or so. Does anybody else have any other questions? And maybe let me know. Is this on target for what you feel, where you're at, and did you get some value out of it today? So I'll get all the live bonuses to you probably by tomorrow, maybe by today. Anybody else have any questions before we cut out? And if you're unable to type in there and you still want that live bonus, send me a message afterwards or type it in afterwards, and I'll make sure you get it. But there's a pretty powerful place when you're taking inspired action for who you specifically are and building a business from that place. And so you may be thinking, I already have a business and I don't know where this fits in. This is for you to be able to realize, okay, this is where I'm at. This is now who I realize I actually am. And building from that place, you can just insert it into your business and where you are at right now. Okay. Amber, I'm not sure the phrase about pricing. I talk a lot and I forget what I've said. So if you give me a little bit of a hint, I can let you know. I'm not sure if it was about how exactly to pick your pricing or what it was. So I'll just wait a second. I'll do my best to answer that. Probably just about making stuff up. But tangible results. Yeah, if you, I think what I was talking about, and I could be wrong here, Amber, we could chat after, but I think what I was talking about is knowing what results you provide and and holding yourself accountable to that level and realizing that when we charge enough to hold ourselves high, we also bring higher results. Okay. So what do I mean by that? It's like, I expect very high results when someone comes to a one-on-one with us, and people say, but how can we, if you allow your herd to do what they do, you trust your herd and you keep yourself out of it, you're aware of what's going on and you hold in the present, your herd every single time are going to bring high tangible results. Okay. But you can't bring high tangible results and be charging super low, because number one, it doesn't make sense to people. It's like, you can't tell me you're going to get me this, but you're charging this. That does not make sense. When you charge higher, you expect higher of yourself. When you expect higher of yourself, you allow your herd to do what they do. You work in the present, you're aware of what's going on, and you trust that that's where it goes. So I don't know, Amber, if that's exactly the piece. But again, when you're really solid in that, you're going to find that you get way less objections. I know for myself, if I get an objection, it's I'm out of their budget right now. That's it. Because I know the value that we bring. I know the tangible results we bring. And so people look at it and say, like, that's it. Because I know my niche in our facility. I want those tangible results, and it's just out of my budget right now. And 9.9 times out of 10, they're trying to figure out, how can we do it? Do you take credit cards? Can we do a split? Will you do another one in the spring? Again, what is it? Okay. A lot of times you get that objection because the person that you're talking to is actually not your niche. Okay. There's no quicker way to burnout than trying to be everything to everybody. It just doesn't work. So, all right, guys, thanks for showing up. I don't know what time it is, but I definitely went over time. Thanks for showing up on a Sunday. On one thing on timing, all the calls we do, we try to do at the same time, because I know everybody's from all over the world and everyone's in different time zones. And so really trying to, I can't commit to that, but sticking to that for you guys. And so you can not have to look it up every time, but it's a Sunday, and I understand that's family day, and I appreciate some people saying, I'm not coming because it's family day for me. Fantastic. What beautiful boundaries to have in place. So if anybody has any other questions on this, feel free to reach out to me directly, drop them below. But thanks for showing up on a Sunday. And I'm inspired by each of you guys. And what do I mean by that? You show up. You're trying to change the world with horse facilitated development in whatever way that looks like for you. The world needs you. The world is looking for you. So just go out and get it, get out there and share. And as I talked about last time, simple two-step marketing, share your passion and give them offers. Show them how they can work with you. Okay. Don't let pricing be the objection that holds you back. So, Fiona, do I take credit cards? Yeah, you bet I do. And it's NFL playoff. Yeah. So Sandy showed up on NFL playoff. Fiona, we can chat about that afterwards if you want. Yes, we take credit cards. Yes, we have a funding program. I mean, we have many different avenues and do that through online processors. But if you want to chat about that later, we can do. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Any other questions, you can send me PM. Otherwise, have an absolutely fantastic Sunday.